Hi, welcome to chapter 23 of the Inward Markings Company vlog. So if you go to inwardmarkings.com, you'll see the YouTube link there for the other 22 chapters. So by this point, there's been two ghost experiences, and it's August, and things are feeling very intense at this point. But also there's that lingering deep feeling of needing to seek something out or someone, and everything accumulated that I've talked about in this vlog, just like, yes, I really should have written this stuff down at the time, but it just it's the only way really I can articulate it. It was just a very intense period. And so we're now in August. I reckon early mid-August. Yeah, there's some blurring, but yeah, like I said, it's hazy. And then the third ghost experience occurred again in my mother's apartment, which was only built like 2 years ago. It's very modern, but who knows what the fuck has occurred. So I was doing a lot of like oven cooking, I guess you'd call it, during that time. It was winter, and I was baking a lot of mostly like roast vegetables and like pizzas and so forth. But I somehow, I think my mother brought home like a roast pork or something, which I'd never done before, and has certainly hadn't eaten anything like that in a really long time, probably since not at any point in Thailand. And so the cooking of that roast pork, that was just like, yeah, probably the most meat I'd eaten in like nearly a decade or something. And so I cooked that, and then the oven got incredible. Was by that time, the roast pork kind of really just meant that it needed to be cleaned finally. And so my mother decided to help me with the cleaning of the oven, and it was night time by the time we were finishing up. And so my mother decided that she would screw back the back like panel of the oven that you need to remove to clean everything properly. And I was in the same area in the close vicinity of her, but there was an island kind of bench separating us. And she looked up at me suddenly and said, "The final screw is no longer here." So she had the screws like in front of her in it was like a little like sunken area, so it was kind of like a ready-made container. And my mother, I guess she's elderly, but she's still very sharp and physically very active. And it was just a simple matter of her just applying these screws back that were just in front of her. And the thing about the area that she was in is that even if she had have knocked it or something had have occurred, there was nowhere for the screw to go, and she did not like stand up and sit back down again during that time. It was a simple case of her picking the second last screw up, putting it in, and then looking back down, and the screw literally not being there any longer. And we both scoured the area. But the thing about the area, like, I probably should show it, but there's just nowhere for that screw to go. Like, and even the possibility of the screw somehow disappearing within the oven somehow. There's nowhere. Like, it's not like a really intricate like it's a very modern oven, so I don't know about the history of ovens, but maybe if it was like really old and there were heaps of nooks and crannies, but there's none of that. And it has never been found, and given the context, it just I believe that it was just a further hint from the universe that something significant is occurring, and the timing of it is salient because that final like meal that led to the cleaning of the oven, that was just so meat heavy. Following the disappearance of that screw, my body rejected meat.